The show starts off with a typical high school drama scene. Popular girl Nina leaks a video of a girl named Audrey having a serious makeout session with another girl. Nina is happy the video is trending, then blows off Tyler's advances and goes inside her house alone. Nina receives text messages from Tyler, who appears to be spying on her through her webcam and taunting her for posting Audrey's video. After being kind of freaked out, she brushes it off and still goes outside in the jacuzzi. She thinks Tyler's just flirting with her and invites him to join her. Then Tyler's severed head is thrown into the jacuzzi, causing Nina to finally realize how much danger she's in. She tries to dial 911, but her phone isn't working since it's wet. She tells her phone to call 911, but it calls Pottery Barn instead. Nina tries to get back inside her house, but the doors are locked, and then the reflection of the new masked killer appears behind her, slicing Nina right on her back, and then proceeding to slit her throat while dumping her in the pool. The next morning, we get introduced to Emma and her boyfriend, Will, who are about to head to school. They are met by their friends, Jake, the rich jock, Brooke, who is also rich and boy crazy, and Riley, who seems like a genuine nice girl. In class, we are introduced to the new kid, Kieran, whom Brooke takes a liking to immediately. Noah, Audrey's friend, starts talking about horror franchises being hard to adapt to TV series since he's an expert on everything horror. At the same time he's explaining, Nina's mother finally returns home to discover her daughter's lifeless body floating in the pool, and word spreads quickly at the school. Emma's friends hear rumors of Brandon James returning, which Noah explains to Kieran since he has never heard of Brandon James. Emma, hearing that name, doesn't want any part of these rumors since her dad got stabbed by Brandon and almost died all those years ago. It turns out Brandon had a deformed face, which led people to believe he was a monster. Noah knows everything about Brandon James since he has a knack for learning about serial killers and believes he was bullied into doing those killings. The rumor behind why Brandon started his murder spree was that he fell in love with a girl named Daisy. One night during the school's Halloween dance, he gathered the courage to talk to her, and things were going smoothly at first. However, once he took his mask off and she saw who he really was, she got so scared that a bunch of drunk jocks came to her rescue by jumping Brandon. He murdered 5 students before the girl agreed to meet him. He arrived at the dock and gave Daisy a handmade necklace before the police showed up. They shot him, causing him to fall into the lake, and presumed he was dead. It turns out Emma's mother is Daisy, and she kept the necklace the whole time. The group listens to the news to see that the police are looking for Tyler since he was the last person seen with Nina before her death. Emma spots Audrey and invites her to Nina's vigil party since she feels terrible about her situation. She tells her she can bring anyone she wants. Brooke walks into her teacher's classroom, revealing they have a hidden relationship as they kiss. Will warns Jake to destroy all the evidence on his computer, and warns him that the police could catch on to what they are doing. Jake plays it cool, saying he doesn't want to go to jail either, but reminds Will they're both in it together. Before heading out to a party for Nina at Brooke's place, Emma hears a knock at the door, but no one is there when she answers. Instead, a package is sitting on the porch with a note addressed to Daisy. Emma's mom, Maggie, quickly grabs the package before Emma leaves for the party. The note mentions how similar Emma looks to Daisy at that age. When Maggie opens the package, she's disturbed to find a bloody heart inside. Maggie calls Sheriff Clark Hudson over to show him the heart and tell him it's not human since she's a medical examiner. She can tell the difference. He asked why this would be delivered to her, and then she revealed to Hudson that she's Daisy, and someone else might know as well. She also mentions that Emma was the same age as her when the murders happened. At the party, Noah starts having a conversation with Riley, who seems interested in him. This also led to Brooke seeking out Kieran's affection, but he doesn't seem to be into her. Jake also tries flirting with Riley, which she shuts down, which gets Noah's attention. Emma has a heart-to-heart conversation with her former bestie, Audrey, about the past. Soon they join Will and Brooke, who start talking about Nina, and then Brooke hints that Will has been sleeping with Nina, which Emma confronts Will about and finds out is true. Brooke notices someone is in her garage since someone left a car door open. She freaks out a bit and goes to leave when Will shows up. He calms her down and gives her a warning that he'll break her if she ever tries to break him and Emma apart again. Emma, saddened by all that transpired, runs off and ends up finding Kieran alone, hiding from Brooke. They chat for a bit, and she learns Kieran's mother and stepfather passed away, so he's living with his father now. After talking some more, it ends up with the two of them kissing. Since Noah finds himself a bit too intoxicated, he ends up passing out, giving Jake and the other jocks the perfect chance to mess with him. Noah wakes up on the dock in the middle of the lake in his underwear. He reminds himself that this is the same lake Brandon was supposedly killed in. Noah starts to swim, but he gets dragged under. Lucky for him, Kieran jumped in to rescue him. Jake says it's a tradition to do that to the first person to pass out, and Audrey gets upset with Emma's friends and leaves the party. Emma gets a ride home from Kieran since she's still upset with Will. When they arrive, they notice Maggie and Hudson are still talking on the front porch. Kieran asks why his dad is at Emma's house, and things immediately get awkward since she told her mom to pursue a relationship with Hudson. The next morning, Sheriff Clark Hudson asked Noah if he could speak with him tomorrow at the police station before school since he knew so much about Brandon James, which Noah agreed to help with. Riley approaches Noah asking him about his theory about who killed Nina, if it was Tyler or Brandon James, as they walk down the school hallway. Emma goes over to Audrey's to confess that she was with Nina when she filmed her making out, but she tries to downplay her involvement to just witnessing it and not knowing it was her. Audrey gets upset with Emma because now she knows the only reason Emma wanted to be friends with her again was because she felt guilty. Emma basically gets thrown out of Audrey's house. Emma leaves crying over everything that just happened when she gets an unknown call. The voice is concerned over her crying, which shocks her because that means someone is watching her at that very moment. He tells her that he's going to lift the mask on Emma's supposed perfect life. Riley is on the phone with Noah, continuing their discussion they had earlier at school, when you see Jake has been spying on Nina and has no intention of deleting anything like Will wanted. As Noah talks to Riley about what could happen, he smears a red substance on his forehead as the episode ends. The episode begins with Audrey's and Rachel's makeout video comments being read by Rachel, who is deeply affected by the negative remarks. Overwhelmed, Rachel resorts to self-harm with a razor blade. Just as she is about to cut herself, Audrey's name appears on her phone's caller ID. The call is eerie and distorted, and Audrey not only invites herself over, but also claims to be already at Rachel's house. Curiosity lures Rachel onto the balcony, where she discovers a rope tied to one of the posts. As she pulls the rope onto the balcony, the killer suddenly appears and throws her over the edge, hanging her in the process. The next day, Emma listens to a podcast while ignoring Brooke, who is aware of Will's fling with Nina. Brooke claims she was protecting Emma from Nina's wrath and admits she also feared Nina. Emma forgives Brooke to some extent. The sheriff brings Noah to the police station for questioning about his interest in the Brandon James case. Noah confesses to exchanging emails with Brandon James's brother and trying to uncover the identity of Daisy with no luck. However, Noah refuses to bring up Emma's father, considering it too tragic for a victim to remember. At school, Will and Jake drive together since Jake left his truck on campus. Jake tries to console Will, stating that Nina always gets the guy she's after, so he shouldn't feel guilty about Emma and should move on. Will expresses his desire to win Emma back and inquires if Jake took care of the data on his computer. Jake lies, claiming that everything has been handled. As Will departs, Jake notices red stains on the parking lot pavement near his truck, which had been vandalized with the word douche. Noah and Audrey meet with Piper Shaw, the host of the podcast Autopsy of a Crime. During their conversation, Jake interrupts and accuses Noah of vandalizing his truck as revenge for the previous night. Despite Noah's denial, Jake gets physical with him, but eventually lets him go. Noah admits to Audrey that he got paint on himself while vandalizing the truck. Will walks over to Emma and tries to justify his cheating by blaming Nina, but Kieran intervenes, trying to get Will to back off. The two have an uncomfortable standoff in the hallway before Will decides to walk away. Emma thanks Kieran and explains their kiss happened because she was upset. Kieran tells her he'll see her around and leaves. Emma sees Audrey and tries to make amends with her, who is still upset, and mentions that Rachel hasn't responded to her messages. Suddenly, everyone in the school receives a text message saying, "Payback's a bitch," along with a gif showing the killer doing a selfie with Nina's bloody body in the pool. This is the first time the killer's identity is revealed, as they wear the Brandon James mask. At the police station, the mayor inquires about the origin of the text message and the whereabouts of Tyler. The sheriff informs the mayor that Tyler's adoptive parents claim he wouldn't do such a thing, but the mayor remains convinced of Tyler's guilt and expects him to be found soon. Meanwhile, Noah and Riley flirt between classes while discussing the text message and the killer. Their conversation leads to Noah offering to help Riley with her midterm project since he finished his mobile app that allows users to explore the universe and observe the stars. Back in class, Noah analyzes the killer's motivations, noting that simply killing is no longer enough in the age of sharing everything online. The killer must be bored with keeping the details of their actions to themselves. Riley interrupts Noah with the news of a girl from St. Mary's who died the previous night. Audrey calls Rachel's phone, but Rachel's mother answers and informs Audrey that she found Rachel hanging from her ceiling fan. Emma, working at a local coffee shop, meets Piper Shaw, who attempts to gather information about Emma's father, Kevin Duval, the lone survivor of the Brandon James attack. Emma refuses to tell her anything, and Piper respectfully understands. Later, as Emma locks up the coffee shop for the night, she notices a hooded figure in the dark alley. Just as she becomes aware of their presence, the coffee shop's back door slams shut. The hooded figure starts approaching Emma, keeping their identity hidden. Reacting quickly, Emma grabs a 2x4 and runs away, nearly hitting Will on the head. Will claims he received a text from Emma asking him to pick her up, but she never sent such a text. Despite the incident, Will is more focused on making things right and convinces Emma to attend his basketball game. Back at the police station, Emma's mother examines Rachel's body and concludes that her injuries do not align with suicide. Rachel's broken neck leads them to believe her death was not self-inflicted. Riley texts Noah, asking him to meet her on the football field. When Noah arrives, it initially seems like he might become the next victim as the lights go out. However, Riley surprises him by approaching from behind and playfully scaring him. They then cuddle on a blanket in the middle of the field. As Noah attempts to dodge the virgin question, Riley initiates a kiss, sparking a passionate makeout session. At the end of the basketball game, Emma shares her unsettling encounter with the mysterious guy in the alley with Kieran, who questions Will's actions. This causes Emma to doubt Will as well. Will comes over and kisses Emma, making Kieran walk away. Later, as Emma relaxes in her living room, the security alarm suddenly goes off. The phone rings, and a worker from the security company calls to check on the situation. Emma insists on the caller staying on the line with her until the police arrive. The conversation takes a disturbing turn as the caller starts asking creepy questions. He slips up by remarking how tired she looks, which immediately freaks Emma out. She's forced to stay on the phone with the caller as he tells her that everyone is lying to her and playing her, family and friends included. He also mentions her whore of a mother, and how everything started with her, but will end with Emma before giving her a creepy "see you soon" and hanging up. The episode begins with a flashback to Halloween Massacre of 1994, depicting the brutal murders committed by Brandon James on 2 victims. Noah narrates the story to Piper, expressing his speculation that the body count will continue to rise. Emma visits the morgue to speak with her mother, but overhears her talking with Sheriff Hudson about her past and is not able to contact Emma's father. At that moment, the killer messages Emma and questions her about having a heart-to-heart with her mother. Emma becomes increasingly doubtful about placing her trust in her own mother. Brooke and Mr. Branson attempt to engage in intimate activities over the computer, but it fails to excite Brooke. Instead, she devises a game for him. She hides a naughty picture of herself in his classroom, and before Mr. Branson can get a word in, she closes her laptop. Jake ventures into the woods and unearths an empty box. He tells Will about it, thinking Tyler stole everything, but Will explains that he had hidden the money before Tyler could find it. Will refuses to relinquish the money until Jake puts an end to their illicit operation, as he knows Jake has been lying to him. While Jake may have a wealthy father to bail him out if the cops get involved, Will isn't willing to risk losing his scholarship and Emma. Audrey attends Rachel's wake, but feels uneasy there. She goes up to Rachel's room, and just as she is about to test the strength of the ceiling fan with a noose, Emma walks in. Audrey wasn't attempting to take her own life. She was merely assessing the fan's durability. Emma reveals her suspicion that Rachel was murdered, leading them to decide to send a direct message to the killer and inquire about Rachel's death. Mr. Branson discovers the picture of Brooke before anyone else and proceeds to pair the students for dramatic readings of famous scenes. Kieran and Emma are paired together, and Emma learns that Kieran's father possesses all the files related to Brandon James, which he brings to Emma's house. This is when Emma finally discovers that her mother is Daisy. Emma confronts her mother, but Maggie refuses to disclose any information. She only wants to protect Emma, unknowingly playing into the killer's hands. In a subsequent phone call, the killer claims to be the only one telling Emma the truth. Emma refuses to play the killer's games, prompting the killer to turn their attention to someone else. Conveniently, Riley and Noah are paired up for an assignment. Noah surprises Riley with multiple TV screens playing video games, and soon after, they nearly engage in intimate activities. However, Riley receives a distressing "help me" message from Tyler, prompting the group to convene. Emma admits to receiving strange phone calls and suspects that Tyler isn't behind the text message. Everyone, except Riley, wants to involve the police, and the majority's decision prevails. As the girls depart, Jake states that he will text Tyler to inform him they will hand over the money, ensuring he doesn't implicate them. However, when they meet later, Jake confesses that he never texted Tyler, and Will admits that the money isn't where it was buried. Both of them clutch their respective weapons, a shovel and a knife, and the possibility of them resorting to violence, but end up leaving. Meanwhile, the police surround the designated meeting point, where they wait for Tyler to show up. The girls reach the safety of the sheriff's station, and it is revealed that the person approaching the undercover cop was paid to deliver a message. The message consists of a note with the killer's mask and the words, "Nice try." Brooke receives a text message, assuming it's from Mr. Branson, and sneaks away to the hotel to meet him. As Emma and her mother search for Brooke, leaving Riley alone, the killer contacts Emma, forcing her to choose between the good girl or the bad girl. Emma instructs Riley to stay at the station, assuring her that they will arrive soon. Unable to locate Brooke, Emma warns the killer not to harm her. The killer agrees, sending a text to Riley, pretending to be Tyler, and guilt-tripping Riley about her calling the cops. He tells her to meet him in the back of the police station. Riley makes her way to the back of the station where she is pursued by the killer. With only one way to go, she climbs a ladder leading to the roof in an attempt to escape, but unfortunately gets stabbed multiple times in the process. Riley tries to get the janitor's attention, but he's unable to hear her. That's when Noah calls her. As she bleeds out on the roof and gazes at the stars, speaking her last words to Noah on the phone. Brooke is safe in her hotel room, although she feels bored because she dressed in lingerie and put on handcuffs for Mr. Branson, who never showed up. She notices multiple missed calls from Emma, and finally calls her back. With Brooke secure, they search for Riley at the police station and hear her phone ringing on the roof. Emma rushes to reach Riley while the police head to the location where Tyler's vehicle was last seen near a bridge. As Sheriff Hudson approaches Tyler's crashed vehicle, it explodes. Emma finally reaches Riley's lifeless body and tearfully utters, "I didn't mean to choose."